the woods, I was thinking, okay, so today we're going to talk about ND filters. And then I thought to myself, okay, everybody knows what ND filters are. Today might be a good day for a twofer. And if you're not from Canada, a twofer is simply a 2-for-1, not to be confused with going for a twofer, which is something completely different, much more refreshing, but yes, completely different. So today we're going to do a twofer. We're going to talk about the ND filters because, that's why we're here. But the second reason for this video is to determine why we even need to use ND filters. And that will be based on the exposure triangle. So we're going to run through the triangle. We're going to run through the NDs. And hope you enjoy this video. All right, let's get going. Oh my goodness, boys and girls, is it hot today? Oof. I think it's like 40 degrees today. Hope you're staying hydrated. Okay, so we've made it out of the woods. In this video, we're going to talk about ND filters, but we're also going to talk about the exposure triangle. And the exposure triangle is what we use to determine whether or not we even need to use ND filters. Quick disclaimer, if you shoot in automatic mode, don't use ND filters. It completely defeats the purpose. That being said, I'm gonna do it because I wanna show you guys what I'm talking about. So I'm going to fly the drone. I'm gonna create a Waypoint mission, fly the drone with no filter on in automatic mode. It will be exposed correctly. Then I'm going to bring the drone down, pop on the 16 and do the exact same mission. And we're gonna take a look at those numbers and we'll keep doing that through all the different ND filters. You'll see that the shutter speeds are just ridiculously fast and a ridiculous waste of time, but here we are. And we love doing this stuff. So, okay, so that's that. So once we have shot in automatic with all the filters, we're then going to switch over to when you should be using these filters, and that's in pro mode. I always fly in pro mode. I want complete control over all the settings that I'm using. So it's only pro mode for me. With the exposure triangle, what we're looking at is we're looking at 3 values. So we're looking at the frame rate, we're looking at the shutter speed, and we're looking at the ISO. So I always reverse engineer the shots that I do, thinking of the end game and what I want to make. 9 times out of 10, I'm shooting at 24 frames a second just because I like that look. I like that motion blur that you get. So I'll set my shutter speed at 24 frames a second, and that's that. So I've got that one setting down. The second setting is our shutter speed, and the way that we determine what the shutter speed should be is there's a rule called the 180-degree rule, which basically means that you're shooting at double your frame rate. So if I'm shooting at 24 frames a second, I would shoot at 1/50th of a second. All right. So that's it. So we got the frame rate at 24, we got the shutter speed at 1/50th of a second, and now we have our ISO. ISO is the amount of light that hits the sensor. So the lower the number, the less light hits the sensor. The higher the number, the more light hits the sensor. And for a clean image, you want to have the ISO as low as you possibly can without making your image too dark. So with that done, and in pro mode at those settings, 24, 150, 100, I'm going to not put an ND filter on and just take a quick look through what the camera sees, and you'll notice that it is a snowstorm. You'll not see anything. It's far too bright for that. So that's when we'll want to go, and we're going to put the ND filters on. Oh my gosh, this might be a threefer. So if you guys notice when you're looking at your footage on your computers, there's 3 files. There's your MP4, which is your video file. There's an SRT file, and then there's a LFT. I don't remember that one. I'll pop it down here if I got that wrong. But the SRT file comes in really handy because it's basically all the information from the shot. So it tells you, everything. Your longitude, latitude, tells you your shutter speed, tells you your frame rate, like everything is in there. So we'll take a look at that. Maybe you haven't even looked into those yet. So I'll show you those and explain what each of those things are. Man, this is a threefer. All right, let's go get this thing up in the air. All right, so this is the first flight. We are in auto mode, completely auto with normal color profile. And we're going to run this waypoint and we will compare these. So the image looks pretty good on the controller. We'll see what it actually looks like with the comparison with the actual footage from the drone. So we just finished that. We're heading back home. Okay, here we go. So this is the in auto mode with the ND16 on here, and let's do that same waypoint mission. All right, let's go. There we go. One thing I notice is that the waypoints, okay, so we're just getting the coordinates back again. Let's see how close we are. We're a little off. I had the larger tower in the middle lined up as the center. So we may have a calibration issue with the sticks that we can take a look at. Maybe we'll do that in our next video. Looks pretty decent as well. All right, heading back home. Hey, man, I'm having a blast. Hope you are too. Hope you're getting lots of great information from this video, and if you are, and you wouldn't mind, just go around and tap that like button. You know, however you want, gingerly, smash it, whatever the kids are saying these days. If you want to subscribe, that'd be cool too. I'm going to try and put out more videos, and hopefully they'll be entertaining as well. So in the meantime, I gotta fly this drone. So, and you know, V-loss and everything, I gotta keep my good. So I'll catch up with you guys in a bit. Like and subscribe. Oh, that looks great. Love it. So again, everything looks great on the controller. Colors look good. I'm in the normal color profile for these tests with everything in auto mode. So we're just calibrating the GPS here. All right, there we go. Okay, and there we go. Again, we're not going to really see anything on the controller here. It really won't be until we get back into the studio and we take a look at those SRT files to see what the shutter speed is actually firing at here. But on the controller itself, it looks pretty good. Okay, that's that. And back we come. All right, this is it. This is a screen recording in auto ND256. We'll just run this waypoint mission and we'll take it down. We'll do this all over again for Pro with the proper settings. Calibrating the geolocation. And here we go. Again, everything looks great on the controller, so you really can't judge by what's going on here. But so far, you would think that you could use ND filters, but the SRT file, when we get back to the studio, will show us different if we want cinematic footage. All right, so we're still in auto mode here, and I'm going to switch over to Pro mode. But before I do that, I'm going to click on the three dots at the top of the controller on the right-hand side. And I'm going to go to camera, it's already there. And we want to change the color space from normal to D-Log. So D-Log I prefer in Pro mode because it just gives me access to a flatter color profile, which allows me to do more color correction and color grading in post. Okay, so here we are. We're still in auto. When I switch over, we don't have the any ND filters on the camera right now. So when I switch over, Like I was saying earlier, it's going to just look like a snowstorm. So watch this. So we're going to tap on Pro, and kabam. That is what we see when we're at 1/50th of a second, 24 frames a second at 100 ISO. Way, way too bright. And this is why we need to use ND filters. Okay, we're back. And this is ND16, and we can see clearly that this is still overexposed for the scene. It's a bright sunny day, obviously, and ND16 is a little too light for what we need. Those lines that you see, those are called zebras, and that indicates to me that the scene is very, very close to being completely overexposed. I'm not even going to take off with the ND16 because it's not worth it either. And we'll switch off to the ND64 and we'll see how that looks. So we're back. This is the ND64. Yeah, so on the controller, it definitely looks overexposed for the sky, but you'll notice on the actual footage, it'll actually come back and it'll look pretty good. Again, this is the filter I tend to use on a regular basis when it comes to really nice clear days like this. So we'll just wait for it to do its thing. It's almost done. There we go. All right, and we're back. This is the ND256, and you can see on the controller it looks super dark. All right, so here we go. So as we're waiting for this, I was watching this guy who flies drones too on YouTube, and he names all of his drones. Do you guys have names for your drones? Can you guys give me some suggestions down in the comments? Because I don't know. I never knew this was a thing. Yeah, do that. Give me some name suggestions down in the comments. That'd be really cool. All right, cancel this out. All right, so that's it for today. We've done all the filming we need to do, and it's time to hit the studio and go check out this footage.
All right, guys. Welcome back to the studio. Oh, wait a minute. You have not been in here before, have you? Welcome to my studio. This is where I work throughout the week. I work from home, so this is my space. This is where I create. I've already gone ahead and loaded all the footage into Premiere, and I started to look through some of the shots that we've already done. So let's jump into the computer. We'll take a look and start to compare some of these settings between auto and pro modes when using ND filters. So let's jump in over here. All right, guys, so this is the first one. This is auto mode with no filter. And this is the SRT information for the shot. And we can see that the camera has selected a shutter speed of 1/4000th of a second at ISO 120. Looks pretty decent. There's not a lot of fast motion, so it will actually look pretty good. Let's go to the ND16 next. Oh, there's an interesting little shift there in shutter speed. It went from 1/3200th of a second up to 1/5000th, and then back down to this shutter speed of 1/4000th of a second. ISO is bouncing around a little bit, but overall, not too bad. Next, let's switch off to our, let's jump up to ND64. This is better. ISO 110, shutter speed is 1/240th of a second. You can see the cars are starting to look a little bit better as far as the blur is concerned. Pretty decent, actually. Okay, and then let's jump over to ND256. So this is getting much better. ISO is up a bit, 2/50th of it. ISO is at 240, 250. Shutter speed is at 1/120th of a second. You're getting closer. The motion of the cars looks way better. And yeah, I think this is pretty good. Let's just pause for a second and take a look at the rest of this SRT information that we have on screen here. Okay, so we have the frame count. We have the date and time in which the video was shot. You have your ISO, which is at 230 here. Your shutter speed, which is at 1/120th of a second. Your frame number or your aperture is at 1.7, and that's fixed because there's only one lens on the Mini 4 Pro. The exposure value is set to 0, and that can be either +3 or -3. The color mode is in default, so the normal color mode. Focal length is 24 millimeters. So again, because there's only one lens on the Mini 4 Pro. We have the latitude and longitude. So that's the exact geo coordinates of your drone while it was in the sky. And then we have the relative altitude. So that's from the point where you took off. And this is in meters. So that's 39.6 meters above the ground. And then absolute altitude is altitude at sea level. And the last value is our color temperature, and that's set to 5600 Kelvin. Okay, let's now stack these side by side so we can take a good look and kind of just review all the footage. So let's go side by side. Okay, so here we are side by side. This is the no filter on the left, then 16, 64, and 256. You're going to stop for a second. You can really see the cars on the highway from the left of your screen, which is no ND filter, to the right of your screen. And you can see there is a substantial difference when it comes to the motion blur, or the motion that you see in the cars. I'll just rewind that a little bit so we can take a look. So take a look at the far left and the far right, and just look at the cars. It's much more of a natural look to the cars on the right as opposed to the cars on the left. So let's take a look at the pros. So obviously our shutter speed is 1/50th of a second. That's what we set. ISO is down to 100. We set that as well, so those won't shift around. And this is with the D-Log-M flat color profile. So you can see it looks a little washed out compared to the other ones in auto mode. We still have to color correct this. And I'll color correct this near the end. Now here's the ND256, and this is considerably darker. Again, camera settings are exactly where we left them. But this is pretty decent. I think we could do something with this as well. But there's some nice motion, I think, in the highway. And again, we'll stack these together and take a look next. Okay, and this is our final comparison for the day. This is the ND64 on the left and the ND256 on the right, both in Pro mode. I'd be happy to use any one of these. Obviously, we still have to do our color correction, but both of these have great quality to them, and either one of them could be a winner. All right, guys, that's it. I am pleasantly surprised with auto. I have to say, at the beginning of the video, I said, I'm a pro shooter only, and that's what I stick at. I'm kind of changing my mind a little bit. I think that there's a time and a place for either or. So auto in some instances and, pro in others. The one caveat I would say is that I didn't quite like the normal color space when we were in auto. I found that it was just a little oversaturated for my personal taste, and I would much rather shoot consistently, regardless if I'm in auto or in pro, in the D-Log-M color space. I just find that it gives you that more of that dynamic range, so you're not clipping your highlights and you're not crushing your shadows. And if you're doing, color grading, then you've got that information to work with. And I'm not necessarily as concerned with the zebras that we saw on the controller, when those black and white lines. I'm not necessarily all that concerned about those, because I know shooting in D-Log that I'll be able to get those highlights back. So there's that one thing. Yeah, but what did we learn? We learned that we don't need to use ND filters in auto at all. Auto does everything in automatic mode, so we don't need to do it. Definitely in In pro mode, we definitely have to have the filters on. We saw, when we tried to put on the ND16 in pro mode, it was still, it was blown right out. And without the filter at all, this scene was completely white, completely overexposed. So that's why we need the ND filters. Yeah. So again, the ND filters that I picked up, they are the ones from DJI. It's the 3 set, the 16, the 64, and the 256. I highly recommend them. I like them a lot. I think they do a great job. There's no color shifts. It's a very good quality glass. And yeah, I would totally pick those up. There's all kinds on the market, do your own research. But I really do like these ones. Yeah, guys, that is going to be it for this one today. It was a long one, I realized. And if you stuck around to the end, kudos to you. I appreciate you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you know when I post another one of these videos. And yeah, until next time, don't forget, fly safe. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.